Okay, hi everybody. Today I'm going to make a quick little video to show what I've learned in my math class. My video today is going to be about decimals and place value, and it's also an open problem, so there's lots of different solutions. So the problem I'm going to work on today is right here. If a number is in the form of 1 and then a blank number, decimal, a second blank number, 3, what do you know for sure about the number? What else might be true about the number? So there are some things I know right away. For example, I know for sure that the number is larger than 10. And I know that because there is a 1 in the tens column. I also know that the number is going to be smaller than 20. Okay. If I decide to start putting some numbers in the place, in the blank spaces, I can start with the number 1 because that number has been given to me. And if I want to make the smallest possible answer, I could put a 0, put the decimal point, a second 0, and the number 3. This is the smallest number I can make. I know that it's the smallest number I can make because my options for digits are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Which also means that the biggest number I can make would be using the digits 9 in the place value positions. So I can use 9 for the ones, and I can use 9 for the tenths, and I can make a new number. This is the largest possible number I can make. The first number was 10 and 3/100. The second number is 19 and 93/100. So I think that's a pretty good answer to start me off. Here's another question that I can work on. Create a number line and mark where each of these decimals would appear on the line. We have 41/100, 3 and 75/100, 9/10, 2 and 24/100, 1 and 28/100, 85/100, 2 and 5/10, 3 and 5/10, and 4 and 1/10. So to do this problem, I think I'm going to bring a picture in from my library that I've already prepared. This is a number line I made using the Numberline app in the MathCentrum app. So I have my numbers, and I decided to include some numbers that aren't in the question. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the reason I decided to include those numbers is because we can think of them as benchmark numbers for this question. A benchmark is just a number that you can use to compare other numbers to. So these numbers are going to make it a lot easier for me to place the numbers in the question on the number line. So if I start working in order here, I'll work with 41/100 first. I know that this space on my line is going to be 0.5 because it is halfway between 0 and 1, which would mean 0.41 or 41/100 is probably going to be around here. So that number is done. So the next number I can use, we'll keep working on the smaller numbers. This is 85/100. I'm going to put that number in between this tick and the number 1, because this tick represents 75/100. It's 3/4 of the way to the number 1. So I can put 0.85 right around here. It's going to be a little squishy, but we'll do our best. And then if you look back up on the top, we also have 9/10. So that number can go right next to 85/100. Maybe I'll put it underneath it just because I don't have a lot of room. Okay, so we're done 3 of our numbers. Now we can work in the next area. We'll just go across the number line from left to right, from least to greatest. So if I select 1 in 28/100, that's what I'll put on next. That's going to be right around here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you should pay attention to your spacing, so that you space numbers that are close together, and numbers that are further apart, further apart. Our next number is 2 in 24/100, so that's going to go right around here. Careful with my decimal. 2 in 5/10, that'll go right in the middle, so I'll put it right down here. 3 in 5/10 is next. Again, that's going to be right in the middle, in between 3 and 4. 3 in 75/100, 3/4 of the way towards the number 4. And then my last number, 4 and 1/10. That's going to be right after the number 4, because it's very close to the whole number 4. Okay, there we go. I think that my number line looks fabulous. Okay, so my last question today is, how are the decimals 45/100 and 35/100 the same? So I think I'm going to make a little Venn diagram for this. So I'm going to use the circle here. There's one circle. Here's a second circle. Oh, let's try that again. That's better. Oh, still not quite. One more time. There, that's good enough. Okay, let's use the pen, and we'll put our 2 numbers on the Venn. 0 and 45/100, that can go over here. And 0 and 35/100, that can go over here. And when I'm comparing, one of the first things I normally do is I look at the largeness of the number. So 45/100, this is greater, so I'm going to put greater over here. Okay, and 35/100 is smaller than 45/100, so I'm going to put less, or smaller. Now the other thing, though, is there's only a small difference between these 2 numbers. If I go ahead and subtract them over here, I'm going to notice that 5 minus 5 is 0, 4 minus 3 is 1, there's my decimal, and 0 minus 0 is 0. So there's only a 1/10 difference between the 2. So that's something I can put on both sides. 1/10 difference. Oops, what did I do here? My pen didn't work. Let me try again. I'll zoom in a little as well. Okay, so we can put that on both sides actually. Maybe we'll put it in the middle, that's a better spot for it. And we'll use just an abbreviation, difference. Okay, so another thing we can say is that they're both decimal numbers. That's something that can go in the middle. They're both small numbers. They don't represent very much. Okay. They also both have 2 digits, a digit in the 10th column and a digit in the hundreds column. So we can put a 2-digit number, or I suppose you could say a 3-digit number if you include the ones column, which is currently a 0. So I think I'm going to have to use a little arrow here We'll call it a 2 or a 3-digit number. Okay, another thing I like to say about two numbers like this is they're actually pretty close together. 45 hundredths is only a little bit more than 35 hundredths. So over here I'm going to put a little bit more, because it's true that it's greater, but it's also true that it's only a little bit greater. So I'm going to put a little bit more and a little bit less. Okay, so there is my video. That shows a lot of the things that I've learned so far in math this year. From my first question, to my number line, to my last question where I'm comparing two numbers. Thanks so much for watching.